Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we are here with round 1 of season 2 of our F123 My Team career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here in Sakhir once more in Bahrain. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Abu Dhabi with our season 1 championship finale, would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Red Bull versus Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship. It was well worth a watch, and of course as we head into season 2, everything has been reset. Obviously, can't do pre-season driver transfers or testing or anything like that, unfortunately, because the game's a bit broken. So we kind of already knew who all of our driver transfers were before we went into season 2 of this career mode. Of course, for those of you that missed out on that video, the rundown, basically Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, all absolutely the same. Lando Norris stayed at McLaren, but he has got a new teammate in Nick de Vries. Apparently, you know, he was in their junior program all those years ago. McLaren saw something in him that no one else could. Stroll has gone to Haas alongside Kevin Magnussen. Obviously, Fernando Alonso retired, which meant that Oscar Piastri and Logan Sargent, of all people, went over to Aston Martin. Alpine, their lineup stayed the same. Gasly and Ocon, the French powerhouse team, sticking together. Hulkenberg, obviously after getting ousted by Lance Stroll, went to AlphaTauri to go alongside Yuki Tsunoda. Albon obviously stayed at Williams. He was not interested in signing for us, so we then had to obviously he then joined by Liam Lawson. Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu stayed at Alfa Romeo, and Teo Porcher, obviously our new signing inside the 212 Motorsport team there. In terms though of vehicle performance, we have not made the step up that we hoped we would as we head into Season 2. There was a lot of movement up and down the field there. You can see Red Bull still on top at the moment, ahead of Aston Martin, Mercedes and Ferrari not far away. Haas head into the new year as best of the rest still, just ahead of Alpine and Williams. McLaren, you can see a bit of a drop back. Alfa Romeo as well, dropping back into the clutches of AlphaTauri and ourselves. But we have got, you know, a couple more little upgrades in the works at the moment. We've got a bit more R&D as well that I actually want to try and use before we head into the first race weekend of the year. Now, I want to try and get quite a big upgrade on the car if possible. That is exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. Monocoque structure, then, that should be on the car ready for Albert Park in a couple of races' time. But yeah, obviously we've got a new livery on the car as well. For those of you that obviously want to see that, I don't think I can go somewhere to have a look at this. Here we go. I head into customization, car livery, and there we go. You can see we're sticking with the orange and black theme. I've actually put the sponsors on it because I know people get really upset when I don't do that as well. But of course, yeah, if you're new around here and you aren't already, please do make sure you get yourself subscribed. We're very, very close now to 110,000 subscribers. And of course, as we head into Season 2, the daily uploads will be continuing until we win that World Championship. So let's do this thing though. The start of an all-new journey. We're back in Bahrain. I'm always interested when we go into a new season to see how you guys like the all-new car designs as well. Probably going to start experimenting with some different liveries when we get into Season 3, but I quite like the car, you know, with all the sponsor stickers on it and things like that. Hopefully it resembles more of a real-life F1 car to a lot of you. For those of you that know, been around the channel for a while, you'll know, to be honest, for me, like, car liveries and that sort of thing don't often, like, I just like driving, to be honest. But, you know, it's each to their own, and I can understand, obviously, why a lot of other people want to see some extra stuff as well. But free practice then, back in Bahrain. Of course, familiar territory now in F123. I'm looking forward to Season 2, you know. Like I said, the upgrades that I'd hoped, you know, would try and boost us up the order haven't quite given us the full effect yet, but we learnt a lot throughout Season 1, and I reckon, you know, with how close the performance is, we can absolutely fight. You know, the car might be theoretically the lowest ranked, but we've seen what Albon can do in that Williams. Because the field spread is still so incredibly tight up and down the field, we can absolutely still, I reckon, be fighting for good consistent points week in, week out throughout the entirety of this season. Making our way then in through the final corner, just trying to keep it clean and tidy, trying to be very, very smooth on the car. And first lap then, That's going to be a nice, easy purple score to not only start the weekend, but start the year. And ERS practice program up next then. Top end speed on the car seems to be fairly competitive here in Sakir. Of course, I'm still doing my setups on my second channel. For those of you that are interested, trying to post up some setups for each of the circuit. We are slowly going through them. Albert Park should be going up later on today. Want to try and keep it sort of 2-3 a week. You know, this is actually the first video I'm recording in July. July's looking like quite a busy month, so of course this series is absolutely taking priority, but I've got a lot of various trips and travels, so I'm very much looking forward to it, but it is obviously going to be a very, very hectic month, but you know, that's all part of the challenge, I suppose, as dropping quite a lot of time in that first sector. Might have to use a splash of battery around the rest of the lap, but as long as we get back under the delta, that's obviously the most important thing. Deary me, come on, there's got to be some traction somewhere. As you can see now, as soon as we drop off that top line, going to get off the battery once more, but we're making back up little bits and pieces. Final corner then, first lap, about 2/10 away in the end, so we did recover a lot of time towards the end of the lap. We can definitely do this. Last chance then to get this lap hooked up as we make our way out of the final corner. Just use a tiny splash of battery, make sure we're under the delta. It is, just about purple there. It snuck into the purple on the range, and I think we were 100th of a second under on the delta, but that is 2 for 2. Right, last up then, race simulation run. We've clutched up a couple of purple scores up to this point this weekend. Bahrain, of course, we know is one of the AI's stronger tracks inside the F1 games, so we're going to have to keep that in mind as we level expectations for the weekend. Spent a lot of winter trying to make sure that Teo Porcher was a bit more prepared, ready for the new season. Of course, any time I could apply driver perks to him, that's exactly what I was doing there. It was a nice kick of oversteer up at the top of the hill. Looks like race sim run should be a little bit easier. Of course, can use the battery whenever we feel like, and so you don't have to worry about tyres too much as well. Can be quite an abrasive circuit, but also one of only 2 venues that we saw a red flag, of course, back in Season 1. As mentioned, I think it was in Las Vegas. They have been re-enabled now in this series. I think apparently they do work again. I mean, we'll only really know for sure once I've had one and we get another one in a race. But yeah, it should be, you know, I like having them in the game. They do add an extra touch of spice. And anyway, out of the final corner then, final run done here from Race Simulation. Pretty decent free practice here from Bahrain. Did take a lot of time, but yeah, we got everything that we wanted to wrapped up all in the end, and I'm feeling a lot more prepared, ready for qualifying. Every season you got to learn the nuances of a new Grand Prix car, but yeah, let's get into qualifying. Well, lots of traffic then as we head out for our first run here in Q1, and to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous. As mentioned, the AI incredibly strong around this venue, especially in qualifying trim. You know, I reckon even Aaron Barnes could have potentially had quite a good shot at me around this place, but a lot of curb. Plenty of curb, too much curb down at turn 1. That's immediately not the way you want to start a lap, but get good drive out of 2 and 3 there, so not the end of the world. Poor Chair, only down in 19th at the moment. Seems like our young French phenom struggling just a little bit, getting up to grips in his second Formula 1 Grand Prix. Yes, it is so annoying. So annoying, that driver transfer thing. I really hope it is, you know, going to be patched up before we get to the end of Season 2. I did debate whether it was worth finishing the year in Las Vegas so then we could do the driver transfers afterwards. But I was worried it would break the game even more and potentially we couldn't even do a driver transfer come the end of the season. So, yeah, I did and ah about that, but obviously at the end of the day, not going to make too much of a difference. It just would be nice if it had been worked out properly before the game released. But anyway, making our way up the hill in towards the final sector then. First lap, like I said, a little bit of a mistake at turn 1, but the rest of it has been pretty tidy there. We can see Sargent on the recharge just in front of me in his Aston Martin. I'm sure they do not want to be going out in Q1. Again, they seem like they've got a good car underneath and just neither of the drivers able to quite maximise it in the way I'm sure they would have hoped. Rounding out the final turn though, up towards the line. Both of those Astons peel into the pit lane. What's the time going to be for us? A 30.1. We go P19 there. Only a couple of tenths away from Sargent, but not fantastic. Well, from about 8th downwards then is covered by about a second so far in qualifying. We've only got the one more run that they're able to do, so sweat mode is well and truly going to have to be engaged. If we can find, yeah, another 3-4 tenths, we should be safely through and into Q2, but you never know what times the AI are going to be able to find as well. Let's just really go for it. Headed down in towards the final corner. Found that 4 tenths in the first couple of turns and have never really looked back since then. One more corner to go. Just try not to take too much curb. Nice and easy on the exit, and another 10th found. And this should be a safety through then and into Q2. Much better result than I was expecting. That's P10. Okay. There we go then. George Russell fastest in Q1 there, ahead of Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. 3 teams covered by less than 2 tenths of a second. But yeah, only a second away then at the end of Q1 means we do safely make it in and into Q2 there. Pourchaire, a second slower than myself. Our teammate really struggling to get to grips with the new car there, as Liam Lawson as well in P17. A lot of the younger and less experienced drivers out in Q1. Oscar Piastri up through nicely in 12th place. But yeah, that was a pretty good first run then. We'll only get the one shot in Q2, but if I can get anywhere near a 29.5 again, I'll leave qualifying a very, very happy man. Well, I really hope track conditions are ramping up still at the moment, because a 29.5 would leave us P16 and last at the moment in Q2. There are a lot of cars now into the 28s, but yeah, I think, to be honest, anything higher than P16 will probably be quite a good result here come the end of Q2, but I just want to try and get a good lap in. That's more of what I'm worried about, rather than the time relative to the AI. It's always very difficult to tell when you haven't got a delta as to how well you're going here, but in towards the final corner. Once again, lap has felt pretty tidy, no glaring errors until I take way too much curb there again. Ride the throttle out of the final corner, shortest run up towards the line, keep it over on the left-hand side, open up the DRS, 29.3. I don't think we'll be P16, but it'll probably be about 14th. Yeah, there we go. So not the end of the world. So, track conditions then clearly still ramping up. Charles Leclerc trading the blows this time round. Are we going to see cars into the 27s as we get into Q3 then? No major surprise. I guess Magnussen and Albon probably both very, very happy to see themselves into the final knockout stage. But it's P14 then on the grid here in Sakhir. Let's do this thing.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round 1 of this year's Formula 1 World Championship. We'll be racing around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit today. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left down into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Sainz, Hamilton, Verstappen, Russell, Oscar Piastri, Gasly, Albon, Magnussen, Norris, Bottas, Ocon, Mr. Monaco, Tsunoda, Joe, Liam Lawson, De Vries, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Stroll and Théo Pourchaire. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as once again we get another year of Formula 1 underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice, and they've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
Right, here we are then, on the grid, ready for the start of an all-new journey. Season 2 of F123 My Team Career Mode about to get underway. 29 laps here. Softs to medium seems to be the way to go, but always a good shot of a safety car here in Sakhir, especially with the lack of reliability for all of the teams there. As, you know, Anthony Davidson said, they haven't ran in the hot, turbulent air of other cars for extended periods of time. So, P14 on the grid. I would love, absolutely love, to start the season with, you know, a couple of points on the board if possible. Right, here we are then, lining up on the grid in Bahrain. I don't often get nervous at the start of F1 races, but yeah, see, the start of a new year, like I said, always a little bit nervous, a little bit shaky, as they say there. But anyway, trying to line up on the grid, make sure we get purple on the launch. Yes, there we go. Let's do this thing. The start of an all-new adventure. Esteban Ocon in front, Yuki Tsunoda behind. Penalties galore in Austria for Esteban Ocon. 5 red lights, though, here in Bahrain. Lights out, and away we go there. And looks like Esteban and I both got a better run than Lando, Norris and Bottas. So we head down towards someone there. Those soft tyres working out wonderfully. So we're just going to try and defend on the inside, maybe to the inside of Pierre Gasly, as we reach the apex wheel to wheel with him. Huge kick of oversteer as we mount the curves there. There's still Esteban Ocon, so we've each made up 3 places off the launch here, but yeah, both of us still line astern then as we head up in towards turn 4. The Frenchman clearly saw me weaving around in his mirrors trying to find an opportunity. Gasly almost into the back of me as we reach the top of the hill, Alonso and Stroll style at the real life Sakir Bahrain Grand Prix. But as we make our way down through the hill, Hamilton even into the lead then of the Grand Prix there. Russell down in 7th place there. I think Charles Leclerc still in P2. Perez has had a nightmare, dropping places back as well into P5. So yeah, a lot of movement there as Oscar Piastri, that Aston Martin of course, should be fighting at the front, but with Piastri and Sargent in the car, we're just not sure whether that's going to be the case there. But yeah, Piastri doing very, very well. Fantastic getaway from the young Australian there. Up to P3 he goes, but Mercedes then lead the way. Of course, they were close, so close to Red Bull and Ferrari last year, and could snooker away victories on tracks that suited them, but they were always just that little step away, especially when Ferrari kicked on right towards the end of the year there. But as we come towards the end then of lap 1, 3 spots gained for us. Can't complain too much about that, and I said I wanted to score points here. Surely we can be competitive against the likes of Albon and Kevin Magnussen, but Hamilton leads the way. He's got the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc having a look to his outside there. Magnussen and Albon duking it out just in front of me. And are we going to see the Haas and the Williams come to blows there? Tiny bit of contact, if I'm not mistaken, down at turn 1. Albon's going to get compromised off the exit. Slow Esteban Ocon down in the process. Still no DRS though, as we try and look to the outside of the Alpine car there. Albon practically pushing Magnussen along as we get to the top of the hill, but we are now up and inside the top 10 there. Mark loving that one as well. And a very, very successful start to this race. Oh, Albon. That Williams, I tell you what, it gets him into 8th gear and then absolutely takes off there. You can see the Williams now trying to rub it in racing with the Haas car through turn 1. Again, Albon, though, will be forced to back out of it. And this time around, he might be vulnerable to myself there on a set of the soft compound tyres. Albon goes defensive, might try and get to the inside of Magnussen. Might try and get to the outside of the Williams car there as we get towards the top of the hill. And Albon, yeah, a little wash of understeer. I saw that proximity arrow come wide towards us, but we squeeze around him. Now up to 9th there. This has been a mega start. I think Charles Leclerc now try to take the lead away from Hamilton. They're side by side at the front of the field, and this is just bunching everyone up behind him. Hamilton keeps the inside as we make it down in through turn 9 and turn 10 there. Charles Leclerc now under pressure from Oscar Piastri, but this is fantastic for the likes of Magnussen and I, that can just kind of hang on and enjoy the show. I mean, look at this. Now we've got Verstappen trying to go for a move on, I think that's George Russell, back in towards turn 1. Magnussen and I still waiting in the wings there. Piastri and Perez side by side, so both Red Bulls trying to make moves down at turn 1 there. It looks like the Ferrari, Carlos Sainz, has tried to break free. Will we see Magnussen now try and get a run up the hill? Here goes Perez again to the inside of Oscar Piastri there. That's really going to squeeze it. I mean, look at this early on. Down the inside of Magnussen will go off the corner. And can we challenge the Red Bull to the inside of Verstappen through as we make our way in through turn 5 and turn 6 there? The Dutchman aggressively cuts across my nose. Remember the last time we battled wheel to wheel with him? Verstappen span himself out all the way back in Qatar. But yeah, at the moment, I mean, this is just ridiculous early on. I think most of our front runners are on a set of mediums, so we're trying to utilise this set of soft compound tyres as best of our abilities, but we are definitely going to reach some trouble probably in about 4 or 5 laps time. Oh, yellow's out. Someone's got issues. That might be Lewis Hamilton. It is Lewis Hamilton in Mercedes at the front of the field there, so Charles Leclerc already found his way around him, and Hamilton, our first casualty then of the new season. Could that potentially bring out a safety car? I think we've got away with it just about. But poor old Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes, they've clearly got a car that can fight, but not a car that can finish, which is not ideal in the world of Formula 1. And that, of course, now has left Ferrari with a 1-2 in this Grand Prix. Sergio Perez in hot pursuit as we get towards the top of the hill once again. But already, so much has happened in the opening 5 laps of this race. We got more yellow flags? We have, yeah, one of the McLarens as well. Who's that then, dropping out to the wayside? We have now got a safety car. So I'm going to peel into the pit lane then at the end of this lap. I'm going to go onto a set of medium tyres. We've got a red flag. Right, definitely don't want to pit then. We'll take a free pit stop, and Nick de Vries out of the Bahrain Grand Prix. And for a second year in a row, we've got a red flag, sorry, here in Bahrain. In terms of strategy then, I'm just going to try and...
This is a chance to take a breath. We've got another half of this race to go, and there's still a big opportunity there.
Could we go hards to the end? That seems awfully aggressive. I'm more tempted by a double set of mediums, to be completely honest. I mean, it might absolutely... Well, I reckon we can do medium softs. I'm just not convinced those hard tyres are going to go the distance there, and especially if the AI are doing it. Obviously, they're going to be very, very slow off the restart. But, yeah, there we go. We are going to be one of the only cars there by the looks of it. 5 red lights once more. And the lights out, and away we go once again here in Bahrain. Got to try and utilise these tyres as best as possible. I mean, look at that! Straight past Max Verstappen, straight past Charles Leclerc and George Russell. And we are immediately then up into P4 at the inside of Oscar Piastri. No way! Oh, a lot of contact there, though, as we try and get the car stopped on the apex. I think we're still 3 wide off the corner, but we have swept through, and into the podium places we go then, off this restart on lap 8. Perez and Sainz say thank you very much. They will waltz away at the front of the field there as George Russell immediately trying to look back past myself, but we've got to try and utilise these softer tyres once again. We saw how much of an advantage it gave us off the initial start. They're able to make up gains, but remember, we're going to have to pit before this race is down and out. We can only hope that we'd be a good 2-3 seconds a lap faster than the AI once again. But I've said before, you know, effectively now this is a 2-stop strategy for us. I know obviously everyone got a free pit stop, but let's try and get George Russell at that DRS range. Verstappen, Russell and Piastri all still duking it out off this restart. Clearly none of them want to give each other an inch, and this works out beautifully for me. 1.7 second lead over the Dutchman already. You see Perez and Sainz, they've checked out. They want to just try and lead this thing from the front and decide between them who's going to lead a World Championship for the first time ever. But, yeah, run away as Verstappen now seems to have got out the range of Russell. I mean, a very, very sobering reminder, though, just how quickly Max Verstappen has romped up to the back of me once again. You know, we might be running up in the podium places, but we've still got a lot of work to do before we can really be fighting here week in and week out. Sergio Perez now appears to have taken the lead away from Carlos Sainz, and yeah, to be honest, my kind of game plan here is if I can just let the Dutchman by in a good spot, like right there, I don't really have to worry about it. Hopefully he can drag me along. That's absolutely right from Mark there, not too worried about trying to make the move happen again, just want to try and stick with him as best as possible. You know, we are battling with these cars still, that's what we've got to remember. You know, we are battling. Max, I don't want to fight you for it. Come on, just stay on the racing line. Don't slow us both down. Why is Max Verstappen going defensive there? Down at turn 1. It'll kick a wheel spin as well, as this just helps Russell and Piastri get closer to you again, mate. I don't want to fight this. Just go. Get on with it and just give me the DRS constantly. Yeah, our fight, of course, is still with, you know, the Magnussens and the Albons in this Grand Prix. You can see we're already duking out a little bit further back. And that's perfect for us. Sensibly then, if we can get these tyres to about the end of lap 20. I don't know why Mark's forgot everyone's names suddenly, but yeah, Perez then back into the lead apparently once again. But yeah, if we can just try and stick with Verstappen, get to the end of 20 on this set of tyres, then obviously go soft towards the end. I mean, I'm already looking at the mini-map. That's not the line we wanted. But yeah, already looking at the mini-map. We should probably come out right towards the back of the pack still. It wouldn't be like we're a million miles away trying to close back in, as now I might just have lost the DRS to the Dutchman. We're already getting a bit worried that we've overworked these tyres off the last restart there. We now got Sainz, sorry, Leclerc even peeling to the inside. Hopefully he's just given me some DRS, but yeah, need to take a couple of laps just to calm back down the tyres. Again, if George Russell wants to get past me, he's more than welcome here again. These are still not cars that we're battling with this afternoon. It's George Russell then trying to make two for the price of one. Down the inside of Charles in towards the first corner. Oh, again, so close to contact between the Merc and the Ferrari car. Oh, you can see how much of a fight in the rear end. We've still got to try and get these tyres another 5 laps or so. And this is why I didn't want to use the hards. Just not convinced they would make it to the end in particularly great shape there. As Piastri, almost into the back of George, had to ride the brake off the corner. Just look after the tyres, get them back in the good operating window, and hang with these cars they're Ocon. Only 5 seconds back now. The Frenchman starting to close in as Gasly now has reached the front of that train as well. The Alpine is still a fast car. Here goes Oscar down the inside of the final corner. Very awkward little move. Probably could have waited for the DRS zone, but not going to worry about it all too much at the moment. No point trying to get in our own heads. Don't want to fight you for it. Just get on with it and keep up with those two in front, Oscar, please. I would love to see him do well in that Aston Martin, to be honest. I think that's been a actually quite decent signing by the Aston Martin team, and I really like Oscar Piastri as well. I think he's a great driver. But anyway, we've got to try and hang with the boy now and use this DRS still. Hope that the likes of Ocon and Gasly, who've been taking a fair chunk of time out of us, can't continue that run. Charles Leclerc into the pit lane, sorry. Okay, was not expecting that then later on in the afternoon, and that's going to be us back into 6th place then. So I'm not quite too sure what Charles' plan is. I mean, we'll get a good idea of where he emerges then in this race, but unless there's a technical issue on that Ferrari, I just assumed everyone on the hards was trying to go to the end of the GP there. And yeah, a couple of other cars into the pit, so Charles is going to come out back at the rear of the field, but again, not too far away. Are we going to see AI pit before the end? Could I have gone to the end on hard, and had a huge advantage? And there we go, Carlos Sainz into the pit lane as well then. So what on earth is going on? Red Bull now with a 1-2, just like we saw last year here, but why are other cars pitting in this Grand Prix? I mean, if it potentially gives us some freebies, yeah, Sainz has got mediums. So clearly he doesn't believe that the hard tyres can get to the end anyway. But why would they medium hard this thing? Very, very odd. Actually, I've said that, it's Ferrari. Why am I asking that kind of question? But nice to see, of course, hanging on to the coattails of Piastri has reaped the rewards there. Ocon and Gasly still duking out behind us, so hopefully we can gain a little bit more time on this lap. But yeah, we're going to have 9 laps to really try and put on a show towards the end of this thing. Looks like it's just all the Ferrari-powered cars that have pit, so I don't know whether they're just more abrasive on their tyres or what. But anyway, for us though, we're just trying to hang on one more and get into that pit lane, bolt on a fresh set of softs, and just absolutely fly. It really does seem like the field's starting to spread out once more, as just about, I think we're probably going to lose touch of Oscar Piastri within the next lap or so, as no one else into the pit lane though. So we're going to have a nice free pit entry, which is always good there. You get good clean visibility as we head down the pit lane here. But yeah, where are we going to re-emerge then in this race? Like I said, I'd hoped we were going to be out around our teammate. But of course, yeah, points still the absolute goal come the end of this thing. As a fresh set of softs to the end should see us quite nicely. Charles Leclerc, a 1:30.4 new fastest lap. And yeah, we are going to be racing probably the Haas car on pit exit. But we are going to be quick there. Kevin Magnussen heading out of pit lane. And we're not in a Haas sandwich, of course, because Nico Hülkenberg isn't with Haas anymore. But P16 we re-emerge. Whoa. That was scary on pit exit. Cold tyres, come on, keep it calm. Let's try and get some points. It's also quite good sat behind Piastri. I felt like I've learned how to drive this circuit a lot more gently. As to the outside then of Nico Hülkenberg. We'll go a bit of an unorthodox move to the outside, but and try and pull it off anyway. Fresher tyres, much more grip there, and we can pinch him to the apex back into P15. So I think it is the Aston Martin Logan Sargent then, one of the only drivers on this grid yet to score points. Sargent, Liam Lawson and Teo Pourchaire. But are we going to be able to try and get a run on our teammate in towards the final corner? He's going to go defensive on me for whatever reason. And we try and just squeeze away around the outside there. Come on, Teo. You don't need this, mate. And I think we'll actually get the DRS off him as well. So did kind of do me half a favour in the process. Trying not to drive over our limits. So I thought about a move down the inside of Albon at the hairpin. The Williams going very, very slowly there. I mean, this is why I did not want to use the hard tyres. Look at the advantage we've got. So we make our way up. Whoa! Albon, though, having absolutely none of it there. Barges me out over the curbing at the hairpin. We won't even get the DRS off him, so we must have been identical when we got into that detection point, and having to use a bit more battery than I'd really wanted to. Albon down the outside. You can try it, mate, but it's not going to work. P13, and now we've got a few seconds up to Lawson, Tsunoda. I mean, the Ferrari will absolutely take off once he gets around Sargent, but that will be the point that we hopefully can walk away with. Now we've really rocked up to the back of Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda here. Yuki, of course, in his resident P11, as we've seen so many times in real-life F1 this year. But come on, open up that DRS. Try and... I don't want to go to the outside of Lawson, to be completely honest. We'll weave back to the inside behind him. Whoa, Lawson! Thought he'd try and move potentially back towards the racing line there, but dead set on trying to compromise both of us as we make it through. Hopefully Tsunoda isn't going to put up as much of a fight as his former Red Bull Junior rival, but yeah, down the inside we'll go. Tsunoda, yeah, really didn't want to have much to do with that. And there is Logan Sargent then, separating us from the points. 4 laps to go then, and hopefully we are just about, well, I say hopefully, it sounds awful, but yeah, we're about to crush Logan Sargent's dreams here in Bahrain, their potential first ever Formula 1 points. So you try and have a look to the outside of the Aston Martin. You can have all the dirty marbles on your tyres as much as you like, my friend. Round the outside we'll go. Fresh softs against some very worn hard tyres. Not really a lot you can do in that scenario, but I'm still looking at the gaps to Norris and those Alpines further up the road. Charles Leclerc and I are taking time out of them, hand over fist. So that is not the line we need at the top of the hill, but 4 laps. To be honest, I think this strategy was still the right way to go. I don't think we could have done any better had I been on the hards. Of course, wouldn't have made the great restart that I did, and wouldn't have been able to latch onto the back of Oscar Piastri the way I've been able to. So, yeah, I got no regrets in this regard, but I would love to try and get to that McLaren or those Alpines. Oh, something happened behind us. I think that's one of the Williams. That must be... Well, must be Alex Albon then that's gone round. Has he caused a bit of a roadblock here? What on earth has happened? Well, let's have a look then what happened with Alex Albon. You can see trying to battle with his teammate Liam Lawson as we head up in towards turn 4 there. Magnussen as well trying to get involved, and you can just see gets on the throttle too early. Magnussen into the back of him. Stroll, I think. Sorry, no, that was Bottas. So that's why Bottas has done a 3-stop strategy this race and is so far back. But yeah, Albon does able to shift off the racing line. But yeah, that is frustrating. Had that been a couple of laps sooner, could have got ourselves a safety car. But starting the final lap then, we've still got a 3-car battle going on a bit further up the road there. Lando, Norris, Charles Leclerc, and I think Pierre Gasly all still trying to duke it out. Not convinced we'll take 8 seconds out of them in the space of a single lap, but you know, if there was some contact, something happened between them, I'd be willing to pick up the pieces. Just part of my community service as an F1 driver there. But yeah, like I said, heading into this weekend, you know, I was really unsure. You never really know what the car's going to be like in Bahrain, especially with how good the AI can be. But as I mentioned, don't think we made a bad call on the strategy, to be completely honest. We wouldn't have been able to get the restart we had. We wouldn't have been able to try and hang on to the Aston Martin of Oscar Piastri. And I think we probably would have slipped back behind the Alpines and Lando Norris anyway. So, you know, we might not have even been able to match Sargent and Tsunoda, to be completely honest as well there. So the fact that we're going to walk away with a point to open the campaign here, I'm, you know, very, very happy with. Sergio Perez will lead a Formula 1 World Championship for the first time there. The Mexican victorious here in Bahrain. Red Bull a 1-2 finish this weekend on, to be honest, a weekend where the pace didn't look all too perfect throughout. So could be a similar story to last year where they start the campaign in fantastic fashion, but will they be able to maintain it there? George Russell will come home in P3 ahead of Carlos Sainz there and Oscar Piastri. Alpines in 5th and 6th there. Sorry, 6th and 7th even. Charles Leclerc 8th, Lando Norris 9th, and we're going to round the final corner for a point to kickstart the new campaign.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Red Bull today. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint. over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they secured here. Let's have a quick look at how the drivers' standings have changed. Sergio Perez takes the position of points leader in the Drivers' Championship. Now, let's discuss Ant. Who would you say is a contender for Driver of the Day?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. That was a commanding performance today. Very impressive indeed.
It's time to check out the Constructors' standings, and Red Bull take over as championship leaders. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Well, there we are then, the end of the opening race here in Bahrain. And Red Bull, just like last year, taking a 1-2, but of course it didn't work out for them in the end, did it? As we all well know there. Sergio Perez victorious in Sakir, Max Verstappen P2, and I did think for a moment when I crossed the line, is it going to come up with a random race result? But it does look like we've got confirmation there that red flags are in fact fixed. George Russell, Carlos Sainz, Oscar Piastri. I keep wanting to say a fantastic debut for Aston Martin, but of course that isn't actually the case. I love F123. But yeah, point for us though. We can't complain too much. And even a driver of the day from Anthony Davidson as well. Things you love to hear there. Pourchaire, a little bit unfortunate in the end. Just didn't quite have the pace to match right towards the end of the race. But he didn't finish last, so better than Barnes or Fittipaldi tended to do there. Valtteri Bottas, a bit of a nightmare. Yeah, 3 stops actually for him. Don't quite know what happened there. Ahead of Nick de Vries and Lewis Hamilton. They're both not making it to the checkered flag. Of course, Drivers' Championship exactly the same as our race result. Constructors-wise, the Red Bull lead the way. 26-point lead over Ferrari there, but just 3 points covering Ferrari, Mercedes, and Alpine. Aston Martin, McLaren, and ourselves also out of the blocks. And yeah, we're 7th, exactly the same place we finished in last season's campaign as well. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do make sure you leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well. And we will be back tomorrow then when Formula 1 heads out to the Jeddah Corniche. You guys do not want to miss it. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.